Good evening, Purple family. Welcome to the last episode of the second season of the Shades of Purple, a Prince podcast. So on tonight's episode, I'm going to be listing my top 10 Prince albums. So on the last episode, I did my top 10 favorite Prince songs of all time. And so this is kind of like a continuation of this top 10 series that I started. My first episode in the series was I did my top 10 favorite B-side hits. And that episode turned out to be pretty popular. So I decided, why not continue with the top 10 series and do my top 10 favorite Prince songs, which was really, really hard. So I decided to take it a step further and do my top 10 favorite Prince albums. And as you guys can imagine, just like with the songs, this was really, really hard. Out of the 39 albums that Prince did while he was with us, I have liked anywhere from at least 2 to 4 songs on every single album. So as you can imagine, like having to go through all that and try to quantify that or qualify that was really, really hard. And so just like with my songs episode, I have a lot of honorable mentions as far as albums go. And just like with that song episode, I am going to have another album episode where I go to like the top 20. Because I mean, just 10 just really isn't enough when you think about Prince's huge discography. Like his catalog is bigger than a lot of other artists. And so it's just really hard to just really sit and be like, oh, I like this song off this album. And I like these 3 songs on this one album. So is that enough for me to like the whole album enough to say that let me put it on the list? So kind of like what I did with the songs, how I decided which were going to be the top 10. I always had my top 3. Like just like with my songs, I kind of knew, of course I knew my favorite song, but I had to go from there. Kind of the same situation with the albums, except I do know my top 3 albums. And then from there, I just kind of worked my way down. And kind of based on, kind of like with the songs, like what did I always come back to as far as songs? And the same thing with the albums. These are albums that I often listen to on my Prince playlist. I have a huge Prince playlist that I have on Spotify, as well as my husband has burned, I can't tell you how many CDs, and of course my own Prince collection as well. So just looking at all of that, I have so much Prince music. Like we've got all of his albums, I think, except for the last 2, Hit and Run Phase 1 and 2, or it might just be Hit and Run Phase 2 that we don't have on our computer at home. So, I mean, I just can at any time, I can just make a mix or have my husband make a mix of Prince music. The latest mix I did was of his ballads, his love songs, the slow songs. So I had my husband burn me a CD of that. So it's like I have so much Prince music and I listen to Prince, like I said, just about every day. So it's really hard for me to just like sit here and just really think, okay, like with the songs, like, does this need to be number 5 or does this need to be number 8? Like, so, it is what it is. So hopefully you will like my list. If not, everybody's different. I get that. This is my list. So like I said, once again, don't come for me in the comments if your favorite album did not make my top 10. Because like I said, I will be doing another episode with a top 20 list. And so maybe your favorite album will be on that list. So enough talking. Let's just get right into it. So my number 10 favorite Prince album is Come, which is the album that came out in 1994 when Prince was going through his dispute with Warner Brothers. So Come was actually the officially last so-called Prince album of the 90s because, of course, in 1994, Prince was going by the Love Symbol as his name. He wasn't going by Prince. So he gave this album to Warner Brothers, and he wanted Come and the Gold Experience to come out at the same time, but Warner Brothers declined that. The Gold Experience, of course, would be the first album that Prince would be as the symbol. And so he wanted to see how well the two of them, he wanted the 2 albums to basically to compete against one another, to prove a point, because he really believed that the symbol album material he had was a lot stronger. And I have to agree with Prince. It was. But Come to me is still a really great album. It's very underestimated. I think in some Prince community circles, I should say. There are some, like, once again, There are some in the Prince community that really like the Come album, and there's other one that think it's like the worst album ever. But I really, really enjoy it. There's a couple of songs on there that I really, really like. Dark, for instance, I think it should have been a single. Now, the song that was a single, Let It Go, is a great song as well. But I really I love the jazzy, kind of bluesy feeling of Dark. And I mean, it's just a really, really good song. I love his vocals in the song. It's just a really, really great song. I also like Solo, which actually I found out wasn't a composition of his. It was actually somebody else wrote it, and he actually sung it, and he sung it beautifully. And it put me in a type of mindset where he's just really talking about how lonely he feels. And I mean, Solo, the way he sings it, you guys, if y'all haven't heard Solo, please listen to it. Some other good songs on the album, Pheromone, which my husband was obsessed with for a little while. I like Pheromone, not as much as my husband did, but I do like Pheromone. We were just listening to Space today, or the other day, on the way home from the grocery store. And I had totally forgot about that song. Another great song on that album is Race. So he has all these great songs. Like I said, my favorite without question is Dark. Dark, Let It Go, and Solo are probably my, and of course the first song on it, Come, which, as we could say, it's probably one of Prince's more sexually explicit songs, because toward the end of the song, you can actually hear him doing some kind of noises that kind of sound like he's, eating vagina. So it's pretty sexually explicit. And speaking of sexually explicit, of course, Orgasm, which is the outro song, is of course the vocals of the wonderful Vanity, and for the song Vibrator, which was on, of course, the Vanity 6 album back in the 80s. So apparently, I don't know how true this is, but this is something that I kind of read somewhere, that Prince supposedly put Orgasm on Come to try to help Vanity. At this time, she was kind of sick, with what would eventually kill her, unfortunately, with renal failure. She was going to dialysis and was just, really sick. And so he put the song Orgasm on this album to try to help pay some of her medical bills. Now, supposedly she did not accept the help, or didn't want it. But I don't know what became of the money, but he did send that money to her, supposedly, to, kind of help with some of her medical bills. So there are some people who kind of feel like, he didn't do anything, or he could have done more to help Vanity. But apparently this was his way of trying to help her. Now, whether or not she took it, I don't know. But from what I understand, she really didn't want to have anything to do with Prince at this point, at least on that front. She still loved him and respected him, but they really didn't have a very good working relationship, I think, at this point. But anyway, that's, neither here nor there. So Come is my number 10. Sorry about all my rambling. I can just get on something and just totally forget what I'm talking about. So you guys, if you've listened to me enough on this podcast, you know how my mind can just go somewhere else, and then I have to reel myself back in. So for those who are just now listening to me, just get used to it. I'll get where I need to go after a while, okay? So moving on. So number 9 is The Gold Experience. Speaking of which, which I just talked about how Prince wanted The Gold Experience and the Come album to come out at the same time. Well, that didn't happen. The Gold Experience did not come out until September of 1995, which was a whole year or more, maybe a year and a half after he had wanted it to come out. So there was a kind of a concern that the songs on the album would sound a little dated, but for me they didn't, because a lot of the songs on the album, were great. And overall, I do believe that it is a stronger album than Come, when you've got hits like The Most Beautiful Girl in the World and Pussy Control. And Gold itself, the song, it's a great song. It's not my favorite on the album, but I do like it. Endorphin Machine, which is one of my favorite songs on the album, or a song like Shy. Now, just about every song on the Gold Experience I like to some degree, but probably my favorite song on there is probably The Most Beautiful Girl in the World. And let me just say this about that song in particular. A lot of people believe that he wrote this song about Mayte, but actually he did not. And she actually also refuted this in her book as well, that he wrote this song about women in general, not about Mayte. So let that be known that he did not write The Most Beautiful Girl in the World about Mayte. Now, she may have inspired it possibly, but even she confirmed in her book that no, because you notice that she's not in the video. He's got a plethora of other women of all body types, all shapes and sizes and ages in the video, and he did that purposely so that people would know that it wasn't about Mayte. But still, people still maintain that it was, but it was not. It was about Prince's love for women in general. And we all know, I mean, it should go without saying at this point, how much Prince loved women. So I love the song. It's a beautiful song, and I love how his vocal range is on display in this particular song. And I have to be honest though, when I first heard The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, I wasn't like completely like blown away by it. So it did take me a little while to really kind of, it had to grow on me. It was one of those grower songs. And me and my husband have this kind of running joke that he'll start to like something at first and kind of turn me on to it. And then all of a sudden, maybe, I don't know, a couple of months or a week or weeks later, I'll be like, oh my God, I love that song. So The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, I believe, was another one of those songs that that my husband was like, oh my God, this is such a fire song. And I was just like, oh, it's okay. But the more I got to listening to it, the more I liked it. And that's in contrast to another song on the album that I really like, Endorphin Machine. Now, I am not usually a big rock fan, but when it comes to Prince and his rock, I love it. So Endorphin Machine, with all of his screaming, and it's such a fast-paced rock song, I love it. It's probably like slick, low-key, probably my favorite song on the album. Now, I do prefer the one that's not on the album. There's a version where it's just more rock, because on the album it has those like Middle Eastern instruments in it, and that's okay, because I know he was also kind of returning to kind of a Middle Eastern vibe in this album a little bit, at least he was to me. And I didn't really like that part in the Endorphin Machine, but just like the regular one where he did the music video at Top of the Pops, I think, with Kate Bush's red shoes in the background of the video. I like that when, y'all know the video I'm talking about, right? Where he had the big old black hat with the red flower in it, pulled really low to his face. And he had, of course, the cymbal gold guitar. And Mayte was in the back in this little like orange, red looking little short dress, just dancing her butt off. I don't know I don't know what you call it, but she was acting, I guess she was like acting like she was a go-go dancer or something. But anyway, so that's the video I'm talking about for Endorphin Machine. So I love, and the Pussy Control. What more, or P Control? What more can you say about that song? Now, that song is just an outright, I think, feminist sounding song to me. And it wasn't never necessarily my jam, but I can get jiggy with it, you know. But it's not my favorite, but I do like it. But overall, I do like the whole vibe of the Gold Experience, and that's why it's my number 9. So moving on to number 8 is Love Symbol. So Love Symbol, it was a close tie between Love Symbol and Diamonds and Pearls. Because for the longest, I really liked Diamonds and Pearls as an album, but I realized that I actually like more of the songs that was on the Love Symbol album than I do on Diamonds and Pearls. There's only maybe 2 or 3 songs that I like on Diamonds and Pearls that I consistently say that I play. Whereas the Love Symbol, I like Blue Light, I like My Name is Prince, Damn You, The Max. So that's 4 songs right there that I really enjoy. And God Made Woman. 5th song. Let me see what else so that's just one of those, Love Symbol is one of those albums that I can also just kind of listen straight through. But probably my favorite song on there is Damn You. And Damn You is just another one of those kind of understated, slower songs where he's displaying his vocal range. And I love the video. I love the ambiance of the video with all the women. And he looked, of course, great. Now, that's when he had the typhoon. And He still looks fine. I mean, even with the typhoon. I wasn't crazy about the typhoon. That was something, and when I'm saying typhoon, for those that don't know, I'm talking about, Prince's hair during this time period. I wasn't crazy about it, but it's starting to grow on me. I liked it more in the Diamonds and Pearls and Love Symbol era as opposed to when he did it in about 93 when he was on tour for Act 1 and Act 2. I didn't really care for how his sideburns kind of made like this, I don't know, like this L shape to kind of, connect with his mouth. I thought that was kind of crazy. And then you can kind of see how his sideburns are starting to do that a little bit. So other than that, I thought, he looks fine as always. Also, Insatiable. Is that on Love Symbol? Or is that on Diamonds and Pearls? I can't ever remember. I think it's on Love Symbol. I always get those two confused because, they're so close to one another. And they're basically in the same era of music. So, but if Insatiable is on there, which I believe it is on Love Symbol, that's another great song. So that's like 6 songs. And when I look at Diamonds and Pearls, I only like Diamonds and Pearls and Cream and let me see what else. Thunder and Daddy Pop and Strolling. Okay, never mind. Maybe it's about equal. But for some reason, no, I still more so go to the Love Symbol than I do Diamonds and Pearls. But it's like really, really close, neck and neck. So that's my number 8. So moving on to number 7. Number 7 might surprise some people, but it is actually Prince's last album that he made during his lifetime, which is Hit and Run Phase 2. I like just about every song on Hit and Run Phase 2. Probably my favorite is Baltimore, but I also like what is that? When She Comes. Now he does do another version of When She Comes on the posthumous released Welcome to America, which I really don't care for that version on Welcome to America. I do like the album Welcome to America, by the way, but I prefer the When She Comes is on Hit and Run Phase 2. I also don't care for, maybe I shouldn't say what I don't care for on the album, but I do like, of course, Stare. That's probably my favorite song because he mixes, Kiss and Sexy Dancer, and it's a really funky song, a really funky, playful song, so I really like it. And Hit and Run Phase 2 has such a different vibe and a different feeling than Hit and Run Phase 1, which I really didn't care for. But come to find out, he had, what is his name? Joshua Welton, which was the husband of the drummer in Prince's Third Eye Girl band. He had him do the production for Hit and Run Phase 1. And so for me, that kind of explains the difference because Prince actually did the production on Hit and Run Phase 2. And for me, when I hear Hit and Run Phase 2 compared to Hit and Run Phase 1, you can really tell the difference in production. You can also tell the difference in Hit and Run Phase 2 feels like more of a Prince album to me than Hit and Run Phase 1. You could almost tell that it was almost like it was somebody else's creation, even though it was Prince on all the songs. And there are a couple of songs, 1 or 2 songs on Hit and Run Phase 1 that I like Hard Rock Lover. I like that one. And X's Face, or was that on Hit and Run Phase 2? I can't remember. Anyway, but I like Hit and Run Phase 2. It was really so much different, almost an about face compared to the first one. And this is one of those albums where I can just listen straight through. Baltimore is such a wonderful, wonderful song. Of course, talking about the whole Freddie Gray incident in 2015, which happened, of course, the year before Prince died. And it just makes you wonder what kind of songs he would have did for George Floyd in that whole situation that happened right in his hometown of Minneapolis. But, unfortunately, we'll never know. But if you haven't checked out Hit and Run Phase 1 or 2 or Artificial Age, which are kind of the later albums that Prince did, please check those out because there are a lot of great songs on these albums. I know we have, certain sections in the Prince community that only care about the 80s music or the 90s music. Trust me, he has a lot of good music in the 2000s as well. So please, if you really call yourself a Prince fan, you really need to check out his later work. I really highly recommend it. So moving on to number 6, for you 80s Prince fans. Number 6 is Love Sexy. So once again, Love Sexy is one of those albums. It did not perform as well as Prince had wanted, but before Rainbow Children, I would say that Love Sexy is probably his most spiritual album. Anastasia being one of, I think, a very spiritual song, as well as I Know. And you really don't, and of course, like, how can I say? One of my favorite songs on here, just going about, it is a spiritual song, but it's also very sexy and sexual in nature. When you've got When Two Are in Love, one of my favorite lines in When Two Are in Love is, the thought of this tongue and the V of her love. Like, oh, all right, like, so I just love the vibe of When Two Are in Love. Like, I feel like I should sing it, but I can't sing, so I'm not going to. I promise you, I'm not going to do that to you this time. But When Two Are in Love is probably one of my favorite songs. Anastasia, which God is love, God, boys and girls, I'm sorry, I had to sing something. But he's coming from I Wish You Heaven. I mean, he's coming from a very spiritual front on this song. And I think Prince, this song was very personal to him, because prior to Love Sexy coming out, of course, he did the Black Album, which started off being called the Funk Bible. But it came into the Black Album, and he decided, that it was evil, and he didn't want to have anything to do with the album. He didn't want it out. And so the Black Album didn't end up coming out until in 1994, but it was supposed to come out in 1987. But he had Warner Brothers pull the production of it out. Well, not the production, but the distribution of it at the very last minute. So there are, I know, some Prince fans that have the earlier copies of that. So those might be worth some money. But of course, we don't want to, sell it or anything like that for those that do have it. But if you do, please let me know in the comments if you were able to get one of those early editions of the Black Album. But going back to Love Sexy, probably one of my favorite songs on Love Sexy is Glam Slam. And that's probably one that should have been on my honorable mentions. If not on, it'll probably be on my top 20 for sure of my favorite Prince songs. And it's a song that a lot of people are just like, like my husband doesn't understand why I like Glam Slam. But if you've seen the video, Prince always is sexy in anything he wears. But he has on the polka dots, and he has on the blindfold or whatever. And it's just a sexy, sexy video. I love his hair. His hair is a whole vibe. And the song itself is kind of a psychedelic kind of vibe to it. It kind of reminds me of David Bowie in a way. And I read somewhere that he kind of did the line, I gotta sing it, Glam Slam, thank you, ma'am, was a reply for something that David Bowie had said about him. So he was just, saying, hey man, thank you. I don't know how true that is, but I read so much stuff. I don't know what's true and what's not, but I just put it out there and let you guys decide. But Glam Slam, When Two Are in Love, Anastasia, let's see what else. I Know is a big favorite of my husband's. I Know. Who else likes I Know? I like I Know too, but it's not my go-to. Like I said, my go-to on Love Sexy is Glam Slam, When Two Are in Love, and Anastasia. And Anastasia is actually Prince's mother, Maddie's favorite song of her son's, by the way. So Love Sexy is at number 6. So number 5 is Parade. So Parade I actually just did a review of Parade just a few episodes back. And Parade was so different from the first couple of albums all the way up until Purple Rain. It was just it was different from Purple Rain. It was different from Around the World in a Day. It was one of those albums where he kind of incorporated more string instruments using Claire Fisher and his instrumentation. They would go back and forth. He had what am I trying to say? One of those discs, not a disc, a tape called, I don't know why I can, I'm gonna get it together, y'all. A tape called The Marx Brothers that he sent the Marx Brothers Project that he sent to Claire Fisher. And Claire Fisher was this guy who did string instruments and instrumentation, him and his son. Claire Fisher has also since passed away. But there is a interview that his son did that talks about how his father and Prince would go back and forth with this tape. And at the time, he said his father didn't know, too much about, the project other than, what Prince said that he wanted as far as instrumentation. And so they actually never met in person. And I talked about some of this on my Parade review. But just to give you a little background about the album. But why I like it is not because of Kiss. Don't get me wrong. I like Kiss. But it's one of those songs where, I don't want to say it's overrated, because I went into a whole spiel about why I don't believe Purple Rain is overrated, the song. But Kiss is one of those songs where, I guess maybe because of the origin of the song, kind of makes me like, I kind of feel like that he should have gave more credit to Brown Mark and David Z, who I feel like were the actual creators of the song. Not to say that Prince didn't. Of course, he did the lyrics and he did the guitar solo and he did do the little that was all Prince. But as far as like the actual beat and melody of the song, that was Brown Mark and David Z. And after I learned that information, it's not so much that I didn't like Kiss as it just didn't like Kiss as much, I should say, but I just kind of felt differently about the song. So, not because of Kiss, I like Parade. I like Parade because of songs like Life Can Be So Nice. I love that song. I also like Another Love or A Hole in Your Head. I do like Sometimes It Snows in April, but of course now, being that Prince has left us and he died in April, it's just not, my favorite song unless I just really feel like crying. But I do, and I just like the different feeling of the Parade album. I mean, it really just stands out, and I mean, it really did good. The movie, not so much, but the album is an album that I always come back to and listen to when I'm in the mood to listen to it. And that's why it's my number 5. So, moving on to number 4. My number 4 album is Prince. So, this was his second album that he came out with, and this was the album where he was trying to prove to Warner Brothers that he could make hits. And hits, I feel like he made. And really one of his first hits that he did make was on this album, I Want to Be Your Lover. And probably this was kind of the breakout song that Prince was hoping Soft and Wet would be, which was on his first album, For You. But I Want to Be Your Lover is also one of my favorite tracks on this album. I also like Bambi and Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad. So I kind of prefer his rocker albums on this album. But he does have some really nice slow ballads as well. He has When We're Dancing Close and Slow, which I really like. It's Gonna Get Lonely. So he really has, I think, a nice balance on the album of faster rocker songs. And then he has kind of funky songs like Sexy Dancer, I want your body, sexy dancer, so I can listen to, of course, I Feel For You, which Shaka Khan in 1984 would make a big hit. And so Prince is one of those albums where you can listen to it straight through. And he really did, I think, prove to Warner Brothers that he was a hit maker. If you want to know about, my review of the Prince album, it's in it should be in like an episode 3, I believe, or maybe 4 or 5. I can't remember now, the first season of my podcast. But it's like in the first, I want to say maybe whatever episode was the hit maker. I think that was episode 5. Yeah, episode 5. So check out episode 5 of the first season, and I have a review of Prince, and I talk about kind of the logistics behind why Prince made the album the way that he did. And Prince, like I said, is always an album that, I love the cover, with him and his, with his chest hair and his permed out hair. I mean, he looks amazing. He looks gorgeous. And I particularly like the video for Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad, where he has his hair, his Farrah Fawcett hair, just flipping it around. It's just great. So if you've never seen the album, not the album, if you've never seen the video for Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad, please check it out. So Prince is number 4. So number 3 is 1999. So you knew that 1999 was going to be somewhere on this list, or at least you should have known. 1999 was, I believe, in my mind, and probably in a lot of people's mind too, Prince's very first masterpiece album. And it had his first top 10 in Little Red Corvette. But low key, and I said this in my review of 1999, excuse me, let me get some water. My low key favorite song on 1999, sorry y'all, is Let's Pretend We're Married, because it's a song that when I first heard the first lyrics of it, I was just like, oh, did he just say, excuse me, but I need a mouth like yours? I was like, that is quite bold. Like, let me see what that mouth do. Like, damn. So, and I also like Lady Cab Driver. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a freak. I don't know. But those are my 2 favorite songs. And of course, I like Little Red Corvette as well. So if I had a top 3, it would be Let's Pretend We're Married, Little Red Corvette, and Lady Cab Driver. But I also like All the Critics Love You in New York, because he shouts out my birthday, 4th of November, we need a purple high. Hey! So I really like every song on the album. Something in the Water, speaking of water, since I just took a drink, Something in the Water, I was just having a conversation with my husband the other day about how his scream and Something in the Water is so ridiculously loud. And the scream that he does at the end of Let's Pretend We're Married is loud too. But nothing like how it is in Something in the Water. I mean, if you're listening to that song with headphones, you got to take your headphones on when he starts screaming, because it's just that loud. And I want to say, no, Prince, it's something in your screams. Okay, there's nothing in the water. It's something, you need some water like for those screams, sir. So it's crazy. But 1999 was also the LM1 drum machine album. That particular instrument really stood out. It gave it a futuristic sound. And I mean, it just worked on just about every track on 1999. And he was such a master at programming it that the person who invented it, Roger Lim, actually said that Prince got sounds out of the drum machine that he didn't even know that you could do. That's how much of a genius Prince was. So that it is. That's where it is. Number 3, 1999. So number 2, you knew it, Purple Rain. Purple Rain is another song that, well, the song too, but the album, I know I sound like I'm drunk or something, y'all, but I'm not, I promise. I'm just getting tongue-tied. Like, the longer I talk, sometimes I notice I get tongue-tied, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. But anyway, number 2, Purple Rain. Purple Rain was probably one of the first albums that a lot of people go to, especially a lot of non-Prince fans that go to. And Purple Rain is kind of like Michael Jackson's Thriller, in that it is his most well-known and most highest ranking album. Like, he sold the most with Purple Rain as far as sales go. I think right now it might be like 9 times platinum or something like that. 25, almost 30 million albums sold. And Purple Rain is a juggernaut, as I referred to it, the Purple Flood, when I did my review of it. And what more can be said but that's exactly what it is. Of course, it has my all-time favorite Prince song on it, The Beautiful Ones. But it also has Baby I'm a Star, Darling Nikki, I Will Die For You, Computer Blue. I mean, every single song on Purple Rain, I think, in my mind, is a hit song. There's not a single song on there that I don't like. And for me, that's even rare, because there's a lot of other albums of Prince's that he has songs on there that I really don't care for. But Purple Rain is not one of those. So it will always be in my top 3. So Purple Rain is number 2. Now, all right, my number one, and I've often said, what my favorite 3 Prince albums are. So we probably, or you should probably know what my number one is. But just in case you don't know, here I go. My number one Prince album is Sign of the Times. So Sign of the Times, I first heard it not too long after I first heard Purple Rain. And the reason why I like Sign of the Times is because it's just like Purple Rain and just like, what was the other masterpiece? I said 1999. It is another masterpiece album. And it took Prince, he was in a different, mindset when Sign of the Times came out. Because Sign of the Times is actually composed of like 3 albums in one. Crystal Ball, The Dream Factory, and I think Roadhouse Garden, I believe. So he took all these songs from these different projects that he had going on, because at first he wanted to do an album that had like three discs worth of songs, and Warner Brothers was like, hell no, that's too much music. You're gonna have to break it down to 2. So that's when he came up with Sign of the Times. And some of my favorite tracks on Sign of the Times are Adore, When I Was Your Girlfriend. Let's see what else I like. It, which a lot of people don't like, but I like it. I like the Ballad of Dorothy Parker. I thought it was kind of weird, but I liked it. I also like Strange Relationship as well. But I also like Housequake and the first Sign of the Times song itself, which is one of my favorite songs as well, that I definitely will be in my top 20. But Sign of the Times is just an album that I never get tired of listening to. Oh, and I Can Never Take the Place of Your Man. I mean, just so many good songs. And I really hate that it didn't win the Grammy nomination the year that it was nominated. And of course, the Super Deluxe Edition also got nominated for a Grammy. And it didn't win either. It should have. But Sign of the Times, to me, will always stand as Prince's best album, in my opinion, in all of his discography, because it's just one of those albums that every song on it, even the songs that I really don't care for, like Starfish and Coffee, it's an okay song. It's not my favorite, but I can still listen to it. I can still listen to the album straight through. And a matter of fact, I just listened to it not too long ago. And when I get to my review of it, you'll see I'll talk more about the songs and where they come from and things like that. But Sign of the Times was the first album that came after the breakup of the Revolution. And so I think Prince kind of had to prove to himself that, he could be just as, creative without, having the team of Wendy and Lisa. And so he has like some funky tracks on there with If I Was Your Girlfriend and Housequake, things like that, songs like that, to kind of, because people were trying to say at this time that he was kind of losing his funk edge. And Prince didn't like that. So he's like, I'm still funky. Okay. And that's also probably why the Black Album came about as well. But that's another story. So Sign of the Times was, I think, needed for Prince so he could get back to doing what he does best, which is recording and making music and just doing it for himself, going into his fountain of creativity. Because a lot of people were thinking, it won't be the same without the Revolution. And it wasn't, but it wasn't meant to be the same. The Revolution that whole era was what it was. And by the time a Sign of the Times came around, he was ready for a change. And Sign of the Times represented that change. But enough of that. So Sign of the Times is my number one. So what do you guys think of my list? So just to go over it again, because I know I did a lot of unnecessary talking in between. So you may have not caught all of the albums in the order that they came in. So I'll go back over it again, just like I did with the songs. So number 10 was the Come album. Number 9 was the Gold Experience. Number 8, Love Symbol. Number 7 was Hit and Run Phase 2. Number 6 was Love Sexy. Number 5 was Parade. Number 4 was Prince. Number 3 was 1999. And number 2, Purple Rain. And number 1, Sign of the Times. So before I end it, I will go ahead and name some of my honorable mentions that I had. The honorable mentions I had were Diamonds and Pearls, Around the World in a Day, and Batman. So those were albums that I also really liked. But they didn't quite make the list. But if I do a top 20 list, they will definitely be on there, as well as some other ones as well, because I also like the Rainbow Children, but I didn't quite put that down as an honorable mention, but it would definitely be on a top 20 list. Another album that would be on the top 20 list would see, probably Artificial Age as well would be on there. I did like a lot of songs on that album as well as Emancipation. There were quite a few, and Crystal Ball. So, like I said, I'm definitely going to do a top 20 list in the future for both albums and songs. So please let me know in the comments on the Facebook page, as well as on Spotify, because I think you can do a Q&A type of setup on Spotify now. So if you can, leave a comment on Spotify. If you can't, just go to the Facebook page under Shades of Purple, a Prince podcast, and leave your comment about this episode so I can know what you think. I know I was kind of all over the place at some point, so please forgive me. I've got some personal things going on in my life right now, and it's kind of keeping me a little off focus. So I'm doing my best to try to just, muddle through that. So you guys keep me and my family in your prayers, and I just really appreciate it. So until next time, peace and be wild, and may you live to see the dawn. Bye.